What's up YouTube, Doe here from Zephyr, and today I am bringing you a profile update for Hekahands. But this time it is a version that I haven't profiled on the channel yet, and this is going to be the Hekahand Kashtira build. Now it's going to be a little bit different from like a pure approach, it's going to be a little bit different from the Chimera approach. What it does is it becomes a little bit more aggressive, it starts to utilize the level 7 plays rather than the level 8 plays with the Horus package, or the level 6 and then just fusion odd plays with the illusions in the Chimera package. So I'm going to take you through the main deck, take you through the extra deck, I'll even show you a demo side deck as well, and this will be post Forbidden and Limited List update. So there will be, like, it's up to you whether you want to consider Droll in the main or the side at 2. That's kind of like the only really thing that's changed for generic decks right now, and then taking into account what your local environment is going to be like. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell, and subscribe so you don't miss out on any more upcoming content. Starting off with the Hecahand monsters. Now, you can play these at any ratio that you particularly like to do. You can go with a 3 and a 2, you can go for a 2 and a 2, or you can go for a 3 and a 3. I'm quite happy with a 2 and a 2. Now, what I think is more important in this version, which is why I'm now playing 2 Yugioh, is that actually getting access to the hidden Hecahands is going to be more important for you. The whole idea of this entire deck is the idea that you can go, cool, special summon down Unicorn, search out whatever you might need, Theosis, or search yourself out Birth. Then you can activate the hidden Hecahands, send in the monster to then get you direct access to one of the counter traps, as well as a Hekahand monster. And then, of course, you could go for Tartarus if you wanted to go down that route as well. And you've cleared your field off, so you can then go, cool, special summon down Unicorn again, or special summon down Scareclaw Cash, or special summon down Fenrir. So it just gives you a little bit more. Now your ideal start would be Fenrir, search out Unicorn, hidden Hecahand, send it, then special summon down your Unicorn. And this is the one big benefit that the deck got post the most recent Forbidden Limited update, is that Droll would have been a bit of an issue in scenarios like this, whereas now it's a little bit less consistent for your opponent to gain access to it. So 2 and 2, I feel that is absolutely fine. Getting access to the monsters, which would be Ibdel, to work your way into Gygus, Brus, or of course your Godos. But then of course your Del going into hidden Hecahands is like your ideal go-to, and it's one of the ones that you don't mind hard opening this up in comparison. Speaking of the other Hekahand monsters, we're on 2 of the Gygus, 1 Brus, and 1 Godos. Now the idea behind the 3 of these is that these are your level 7s. So when you're able to summon these to the field, and then ideally you're trying to resolve their effects. Godos is the one you want to leave on the field during your opponent's turn, as it will disrupt your opponent by being able to bring back from their graveyard. Brus is the one that lets you rip one from your opponent's hand. If it's a monster, you summon it. If not, it goes back to the hand. And then the Gygus, which is the one that a lot of people will go for 2 of, is because it's more consistent. You're getting to see a 1 of 3 rather than a 1 of 1. It's like, okay, cool. If this one card is not a monster, I can't summon it. Whereas with the Gygus, you're like, okay, cool. If the first one's not a monster, maybe the second one will be. And if the second one's not going to be one, the third one will be. And then you get a choice of going, okay, well, that's going to be the most effective for my opponent. I'll take that one out of commission and give it to myself, and then go on from there. All of these Hekahand monsters have the same effect. If your opponent adds a card from their deck to the hand, or just anywhere back to their hand, you then get to summon them to the field. Like I've mentioned previously, you want your Godos to be the one that gets summoned during your opponent's turn. You can trigger off those effects by using the graveyard effect of the hidden Hekahands, but the idea is you still want to go start with the Gygus, take one from the top of their deck, start with the Burrus, take one from their hand, and then build on and on and on. And then these are your level 7s that you can very easily just go, cool, overlay Fenrir, overlay the Brus, or the Gygus, less so the Godos, but overlay those, go into Shangri-La, go into Big Eye, you name it, go for the right rank 7 that's going to be effective in that particular matchup, and then cause your opponent issues. Continue on with the Hekahand cards, of course, 3 the hidden Hecahands. This is like your ideal card for this deck right now, in this particular hybrid. So as already mentioned, the idea behind this one is that you always want to be trying to send a monster. It technically sends a card you control, but it's like you'd be crazy not to send a Kashtira monster if you only have that Kashtira monster on the field. So the best way about it is you can go, cool, summon down Fenrir, use Fenrir's effect to search, and they go, Ash. You go, okay, cool, activate hidden Hecahands, send it, search out a Hekahand monster, which could be Ibtel, it could be Yugioh, but then also set one of the counter track cards or Tartarus, and then go, cool, special summon down Unicorn, or special summon down another Fenrir, because I now have an empty field. Like, this is that card that is going to bridge it so much, which is why this hybrid works. One Tartarus, being able to fusion summon using monsters your opponent controls, but ideally what you're trying to work into this one is the Xeno, and I think Xeno is such an incredibly good card for this deck. Like, looking at 2 cards randomly from your opponent's extra deck and then summoning one to your field, it's like, okay, cool, I'm now going to get access to these cards. I'm going to be able to make sure my opponent doesn't get access to it. And even more so now, if you're in a yummy matchup, take away that one Snatchy, whoa. And then we've got 2 of the counter track cards, so 1 of the Yodal and then 1 of the Ibal. So of course one of them is a monster negator, one of them is a spell and trap negator. You kind of go with the one that you think is the most important, or if you're able to resolve hidden Hecahands and something like your Jazar, then you're going to be able to get both, which really does make it quite awkward for your opponent, because if you're then able to back this up with a Godos, yes, of course they can break the field quite easily and they can turn these off quite easily. Like if they had a Kaiju, they just go, cool, Kaiju your only Hekahand monster, and you're like, okay. The new Hekahand support that we get in May is pretty decent. It's not like busted. It's not going to take the deck from being like where it is up 20 levels or something. It's just one of them ones where it's like, they're nice additions. It kind of makes the deck want to be a little bit more aggressive, because it means all of your illusion monsters can attack directly. So you're like, okay, cool. In the past, where I was just constantly stealing my opponent's monsters but couldn't attack directly, or like couldn't do enough damage, they can all just sit there and go, I don't care what wall you've got, I'm just going to jump over it, do all the damage I need to, and then hopefully push the game. The final card that will help you bridge into your illusion monsters is Free Nightmare Apprentice. You don't have to play this card. It, again, is just a consistency piece. It does discard cards, so again, it can set you up your birth nice and early. It can also set you up by putting a Kashtira in the grave that you're like, yeah, that's free discard for it, I don't really mind it. And then the idea is you search out your Ibtal, you search out your Yodal, and they just help you push into the pieces that you need to. As already mentioned, you want to try and work your way into the hidden Hecahands, so the more consistent ways you can do that, maxed up with your Kashtiras, the better it's going to be for you. Moving into the Kashtiras, we are on free Unicorn. I'm not going to spend too much time on the Kashtira lineup, as it is relatively straightforward of Unicorn, Fenrir, 1 Scareclaw and 1 Rise Heart. You can adapt these as you see fit. I still feel that you're going to be maxing out on your Fenrir and your Unicorn, because they are your combo starters. But then with the Scareclaw Cash and the Rise Heart, your Rise Heart's your extender to help you push into another rank 7. Keeping in mind it will lock you into XZs from that point on, which is absolutely fine, because you should be able to go into your Jazar well before that. And then your Scareclaw Clash is just a really nice defensive option to disrupt, or like to extend when they try to disrupt with you. But then also being able to monster that can attack and defense is absolutely insane. And then the card that's really going to make everything bump that little bit more is going to be your free Pressured Planet Rice-Off. Now, what you've got to remember about all the Hekahand monsters is that because they're illusions, neither monster can be destroyed by that exact battle. Which again is the other benefit of the new cards, that when they can't clear off the field because they can't destroy anything by battle, they're just jumping over the wall and doing the damage. When you have something like Pressured Planet Rice-Off, where you've got different attributes for your Hekahands compared to your Kashtiras, you're just going to constantly keep getting these little attack buffs. Not to mention that the primary idea behind the Planet Rice-Off is to search out your Kashtira monsters, and if you wanted to, you could play Terraforming. I'm personally not, but honestly, you could play 2 Rice-Off and 1 Terraforming. It really is entirely up to you. It's not something that I want to be leaning on massively, because multiple Planet Rice-Offs don't do anything for me, whereas where the Terraforming argument can kind of come into play with a deck fin. But I feel that you need to play a route of this card at free. So whether it be 3 copies of the Rice-Off, or whether it just be 2 Rice-Off and 1 Terraforming, entirely up to you. For the final Kashtira cards, I've got the 1 Birth and the 1 Theosis. I know a lot of people play 2 Birth. That is absolutely fine, because if obviously they out the first Birth, then you kind of don't really have what you need. And the benefit of being able to normal summon your level 7s without having a tribute is quite important. But there's a card in my side there that I actually like to lean into, which means I don't rely on that effect that heavily. But the idea with Birth is that it's just constantly disrupting your opponent's graveyard when they activate a spell card, but then also constantly being able to bring back your Kashtiras. Like, this was the vibe of Fiendsmith Engraver before Fiendsmith Engraver existed. And what I mean by that is, it was like, if you leave Fiendsmith Engraver in the graveyard, you know it's coming back. With this, if Birth was on the field and there was a Kashtira banished, you know it was coming back. And it was so annoying to deal with. It was just constant loop. If you couldn't out it, or you felt that there was a bigger threat on the field that you needed to out, this was just going to keep that resource coming back and back and back. Then for the generic cards, I've got the 1 Call by the Grave. I decided to go with 3 Forbidden Droplet, but you could play like Super Polymerization, you could play another hand interaction of your choice. You could also play the Fallen and the Virtuous, which is a card I really, really like right now. There is the space in the extra deck, which is very easy to do. And as much as I would love to take out the next 6 cards and be like, cool, I don't want to play Ash, I just want to play uber aggressive. That's your free Super Polymerization. Arguably, because you're going second, you still need to be maining 3 Mulchumi Full Losses, but you could play 3 Fallen and Virtuous, 3 Forbidden Droplet, and 3 super polymerization. Like, they do kind of pretty much the same job, and what I mean by that is these 9 spaces are just very flexible. Like, you're not using these as combo pieces, they're not enhancing your field presence, but they're disrupting your opponents, they're giving you the hand advantage, you're trying to negate the field, you're trying to push your cards. Like, there's a lot you can do with it. I like dropping it in the main because, again, it's another way that I can send cards to then clear my field off and then go again while also negating my opponent's field. Entirely up to you on how you'd want to build this bit of the deck, but it's just kind of stuff that you need to consider. The only card that you need to be semi-fearful of is Perulia. Like, I think you could very easily play under a Fuelos if you wanted to, but Perulia can make it a little bit awkward just because, like, your Kashtiras are always going to come from hand. The only benefit of that is if they would have to drop Perulia during your draw phase, and you're like, right, okay, cool, well, my first Kashtira is going to cost me, and then so on and so forth. So if you're facing this deck and you want to counter it, Perulia will get you so much advantage. It's crazy. So that's it for the entire main deck. Now to show you the extra deck. So for the extra deck of our Hecahand monsters, we are playing 2 Jazar and 1 Xeno. Now, I've already mentioned how much I actually like Xeno. I think Xeno is like a really kind of cool, disruptive card. And then a lot of people actually forget that if this card is destroyed, so obviously it can't be destroyed by battle, but if it's destroyed by card effect, you get to take all monsters your opponent controls, which is pretty insane. The Jazar, of course, is the one that during the main phase you search out a Hecahand card. Again, illusion monster can't be destroyed by battle. And the fact that you can fusion summon this with either Tartarus or just by tributing off one of your Hecahand monsters and then a monster owned by your opponent is pretty insane. They play a very small link package of IP Masquerena, SB Little Knight, and then the Gorgon of Xelophenia. Again, entirely up to you. If you play Super Polymerization, you can rely a little bit less on this. You can adapt some of the rank 7s that I'm about to show you as well. Like, you have flexibility. Again, the space opens up for Fallen and the Virtuous. It is entirely up to you. So for the rank 7s, pretty standard to go for a big eye. Mecha Phantom Beast, 2 Kashtira Shangri-La, 1 Dark Arm Dragon, Red Eyes Flare Metal. I mean, there is no longer like the time rules in the kind of Yu-Gi-Oh game state of like, oh, if whoever's life points are lowest, you lose. But what I like about the Flare Metal is it's one of them ones that puts like extra pressure on your opponent. They're like, ah, right, I've got a ticking clock every time I activate something. And the other thing as well is if you can't complete game, you then make a Red Eyes Flare Metal, it then puts a ticking clock on every move. So they're like, right, I have to break your field in X amount of moves or I lose. You don't have to play it. It's probably one of the first cards you could go, all right, I'd rather play a Fallen and Virtuous target. This is the first one you take out. Another one you can consider taking out, but I actually kind of like it, is the number 76 Harmonizer. Now, a generic rank 7, its attribute is also treated as each of its attached materials. Attributes cannot be destroyed by battle with monsters of the same attribute and can't be destroyed by the activated effects of your opponent's monsters with the same attribute. So if it has a dark material to it, Murakumo can't get past this. The other benefit of this one as well is that a quick effect, you get to target a monster in your opponent's graveyard and then detach a material from this card. And if you do, you attach that target to this card as material. So it's basically a quick effect graveyard disruptor. Yes, it's not enhancing the Hekahand style of being able to take control of your opponent's monsters, but you're disrupting their graveyard. And then, like I said, if you make this with a dark, you're going to put yourself in such a good position in the Mitsu matchup. Because remember, Mitsus aren't dead. Like, they're far from it. But you can make this with a wind in Unicorn. So there's a little bit of protection from Radiant Typhoons. You've got Earths in Fenrir. But then you've also got to take into account, when I get to them, your Godos, your Brus, and your Gygus are all darks. So in the right matchup, making that can actually be very, very awkward for your opponent to try and out. And then the final 2 cards is just Zeus and Typhon. Again, if you like actually just want to play Super Polymerization, then you can go Red Eyes Flare, Typhon, and Zeus could be your 3 options. Zeus is mainly there to go over the Shangri-La, and then you just have like such a fat stacked XZs if you wanted to. But then on top of that as well, Fallen and the Virtuous or Super Polymerization, they're your 3 options that you can take out. Now to show you the demo side deck. Now, everything's a little bit questionable at this exact moment in time because of the new Forbidden Limited list. Like, we don't know how much it's going to affect it. I feel that obviously Yummy will be less represented, but I feel that Vanquish Soul Canine will be more represented. It just means that with less access to Jockle and Case for Canine, they'll be a little bit less consistent. Dracotail will just replace what they lost with the brand new branded cards in Burst Protocol, so they'll go up a step anyway. They haven't really lost a huge amount, so it's not completely decimated the current meta decks, but what it's done is it's opened it up a lot wider for other decks to be utilized. So for the side deck, I decided to go with 3 Lava Golem. Keep in mind, you're probably not going to be putting this in against Mitsu unless you are able to make your Gradel Griddell? Not Griddell. Where is she? Your Harmonizer. There we go. Literally just said its name as well. So unless you make your Harmonizer and go, cool, Lava Golem, and then I go, cool, Trigger off a Murakumo, and you go, cool, Harmonizer. But the other card that I would highly advise you putting in if you're going to be playing against Mitsu is I'd also put in free spell card Monster Reborn, because it technically acts like a Call by the Grave that, well, I say Call by the Grave, like a Monster Reborn that takes control of your opponent's monsters. Pretty funny. And then the other cards, they're currently shared with my Cool Tune deck, but the idea is it's just got Iron Thunder. It's just a card that I'm quite fond of right now that lets you double down your protection for going first. Like, if they're going to evening you, if they're going to try and break your field and you're able to back this up with an Iron Thunder, yes, you already have the Hecahand counter track cards, that's absolutely fine. But as I already mentioned, if they out your Hecahand monster, they're both dead. Whereas it's like, cool, I've got Iron Thunder. If they have to try and play through, like, I would be amazed if my opponent is starting with 6 cards, and that's an if, because I could have taken one with a Brus, but I say they start with 6 cards. 3 of them are instantly going to get answered with Iron Thunder and then Yugioh and Ibtel, like the 2 counter-track cards. So they then have 3 cards to try and break the field, and at that point you're trying to end your field with like a Fenrir, a Unicorn, like other cards that can interact with your opponent. And not to mention Unicorn, rip away that one Snatchy. And then I've gone with 2 Nibiru, 2 Perulia, and 2 Droll. Entirely up to you, adapted to the environment. If your environment has no care about Droll and Lockbird whatsoever right now, then take them out. You can go for a 3 and a 3. You can go for, like, I still feel Malice. Like, early days, people will experiment with Malice. Like, don't write them off. So you could also consider Meows as well. Might be a little bit effective for you. But you've got a bit of flexibility right now. This is what still needs to be decided. And this is the best thing about formats when they do get cracked open a little bit wider. Keeping in mind that probably, like, this profile will probably come out after just before the sneak event weekend. So this will be the week of the new Forbidden Limited list being implemented, but then the next weekend events that you will go to will be post Burst Protocol. So there's a lot you need to kind of take into account, but the deck's really, really fun. I enjoy the Hecahand cards. They're not that expensive. I feel that now's a good time to be getting into them. Like, just getting ultra rare Ibtels, Yudels, and the hidden Hecahands is not that expensive. I think, like, I looked on Card Market, and they're all relatively cheap. On top of that as well is the Kashtira cards are due to be reprinted in Rarity Collection 5. Now, I've been seeing people trying to sell Fenris actually relatively cheaply, to be honest. So you don't need to break the bank of everything. You should be able to pick these up relatively easily. And it's just something to keep an eye on. And what I love about engines, and this is what makes Yu-Gi-Oh! Stand out above all else in my opinion, is when you can find an engine like the Hekahands that give you creative freedom to play in many different ways, that's a good sign of a deck to me. That's a fun deck to me. Because I can play, as I've already mentioned, I played Hecahand Horus, and I thought that was really, really fun, but I'm just a fan of the Horus cards. Then I've played Hecahand Chimera, absolutely fine. It's probably the biggest ceiling of all of them because it gets to bridge into the Fiendsmith package. It has a lot more resilience and everything else in between. And then you've got the Kashtira version. And the Kashtira version can actually be very, very aggressive. I am quite looking forward to making a pure Hecahand version as well, but I won't be able to do that until post the new support. And what I love about that, again, as a benefit of the change on the most recent Forbidden Limited list, is Snatch Steal's at free, Mind Control's at free, and so is Change of Heart. So I'm like, you know what? I quite like the idea of just building a Steel dot deck, which is literally just playing, you'll play all the Hecahands, but then you'll also play like free Change of Heart, free, and you'll go second, and you're just like, cool, activate this card, take control. Activate this card, take control. Activate this card, take control. It's like, I like that idea. And I don't mind the restrictions on like Snatch, Steal, Change of Heart, and Mind Control, like not being able to attack and stuff like that, and giving it back, because it's like, oh, well, I'll just trip it off in main phase too. So I like that idea, I like that concept. It's still something that I want to trial out and test, but we'll soon see. Anyway, hopefully this has given you a bit of an insight into the deck itself. If you do have any questions, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer them. For now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.